Today, we're using the story of, we're reacting to the story of Sarah James Parkinson to essentially cover the very incredible importance of YouTube channels like this and why it's so important to be advocating and fighting for men's rights. Let's get into it. Okay, everybody, this is one of the biggest red flags you can see when you're dealing with women, essentially, well, mostly feminists. Well, let's get into it. Yeah. One of the very... Sorry, I'm backtracking now. Essentially, what my experience with this is that if a woman is starting out the relationship by laying out a bunch of victim stories to you, you should run like your life depends on it. As this family is going to experience, it actually does. The reason why is because a woman will start out a relationship like that not because she's trying to see if you're a good man, but because she's trying to test out the level of sympathies you have that she can later on exploit for her own personal gain. Where vice versa, if you're dealing with a woman who is actively seeking a genuine relationship with you, she won't really have a need to test you at all. The value you bring into her life as a good man is literally just going to speak for itself. And she is going to want to do everything in her power to express gratitude for that. Not with her words, mind you, but with her actions. And the reason for this, everybody, is simple. The woman is a common manipulation tactic that I've seen a lot of Western women utilize. Not all of them, but a lot of them, which is one man has the resources she wants, the other man has the means of getting them. And the way how she'll exploit this is she'll tell one story to the man who has the resources that she's claiming to love. Well, she will simultaneously tell a completely different story to a man who's in a position of power, who she is also claiming that she loves. Remember, in this case, it's not about love, it's about your resources. That's really what it is. It's a straight up common manipulation tactic I have seen a lot of feminists in the West utilize. I asked this guy, have you seen that? Sorry about my speech pattern, everybody. A little tired from work, that's all. I'll be honest with you, everybody. My red pill moment, it was pretty much the same. The difference is instead of being a police officer, it was a pastor at a church that I used to attend. The other difference is, unlike this man, I went into that conversation fully prepared. I knew well in advance what this was all about. I predicted it. I told the pastor, hey, you want to have a conversation with me, there has to be someone else in the room as well. I'm not going to have this conversation with you by myself. Also, you have to give me permission to fully record the entire conversation. And pastor agreed because, hey, you can't defy a woman. And when I did, instead of getting angry or agitated, I choked down my frustrations and decided to give that pastor a Q&A where I bombarded him with factual-based questions that he wasn't prepared to answer on an actual recording device. For example, a way how that would have helped this man out is that he would say, is that if the officer says, I have like 7 witnesses, colleagues who will testify against you if you fight against it, you can counter that by asking the recording, hand over the statements. You said you have those witness testimonies. Hand over the statements right now so me and my lawyers can go over them. In my red pill moment, the pastor refused to give them. When that happened, I learned that, okay, these supposed witnesses don't exist. They really don't. Being declared guilty until proven innocent. That's something that really should never happen. But because of the feminist movement, happens to men all the time. And this is the evil and the tragedy that falls into place because of it. It really is. Yep, and that's because documented and recorded evidence holds more weight in a courtroom than word of mouth. It really does. I think every man who has a red pill moment like this one, they learned that all too clearly. Hey guys, I don't know how it works in Australia because, hey, I'm in the United States, but I can tell you that in the United States, at least, in order for something like this to be legal, officers would have to present an arrest warrant. They will also have to tell you what you're being arrested for and read you your Miranda rights. They can't just flat out invade your home and abduct you. Also, I want you all to take a big notice. Notice how the moment the officers saw that she was going to go in the house and call her lawyer, that's when they jumped the fence and hauled the man over. I'm pretty sure that could be evidence of consciousness of guilt. These officers knew they were breaking the law. They were. Also, it doesn't matter which way I look at this. This is cut and dry evidence of a woman using the victim card to corrupt a federal agency. It really is. And I think that woman should be charged with that as well. She really should be. And I'll be honest with you, that was probably the goal. Sad, but it probably was. One of the things I dealt with or experienced when dealing with the feminist movement here in the West is that it teaches women at a very young age that, hey, if you're a fellow feminist, you're officially a pure and innocent angel who can do no wrong. Anyone who is not a feminist or a supporter of this whole thing is an insect. Doesn't matter how many of them you delete or how many of their lives you destroy. They'll just reproduce and rebuild and supply you with more resources that are yours, not theirs. That's literally how it works. Yep, that's because you never really healed from an experience like this. You never do. That's why YouTube channels like this are important, because they're very therapeutic. As for the reason why this man was never charged, well, I can tell you. It's because Sarah Jane Parkinson, she was still experimenting with using the victim card as a career choice. In case you guys don't know what the victim card is, That's when you cry victim, not because you are an actual victim, but rather you do so for financial, political, and personal motivations. This is a card that men don't have luxury to use, but women do. And her mistake was in this endeavor with this man is a very common mistake that a lot of feminists use when they're still experimenting with it, which is they try to utilize hearsay statements. He said, she said. And that's what gets the case thrown out because hearsay is not admissible in a court of law. However, very often the feminists will learn from that mistake and make corrections to their strategy of using the victim card as a career choice, as you clearly can see. Yep, I've had quite a fair share of experiences with this too, as you can clearly see on this YouTube channel. It's one reason why a lot of women want to silence us men, because they know our case is a lot stronger. And also, it even goes beyond that. Because when they said Sarah Jane Parkson had good reasons to be agitated and scared by people questioning her, well, from my experience with doing this for so long, the reason why is because when women get exposed for this kind of behavior, in their position, it could very well easily be seen as worse than being raped. Yeah, rape is a crime. It definitely is. However, depending on how severe your case is, medically speaking, the woman can recover. She can. Her life is still salvageable. When women are exposed for this kind of behavior, the damage that's going to be done to her life is, even if they don't go to jail, the damage that's going to be done to her life is permanent. It really is. Men want nothing to do with her because they see how incredibly dangerous of a person she is. Women who are not part of the feminist movement want nothing to do with her because, hey, they see her as a threat to their ability to have a genuine relationship with somebody. And women who do participate in the feminist movement, as well as supporters of the feminist movement, they will treat her like a deserter. Yeah, so she might not go to jail, but she'll be isolated for the rest of her life. Which I guess is pretty much the same thing, depending on how you look at it. Anyways, that's all we got time for today. Happy Halloween, everybody. Hope you have a great night.